Hey everyone, this is MrAddOil again, helping you fight your today for your better tomorrow. And this is the last video in a video series of why I chose to attend the Block online coding bootcamps. So altogether, there's 7 arguments that won me over on why I attended this coding bootcamp. And we are on our 7th argument, which is an online coding bootcamp is a great substitute for a computer science degree. And we're going to be talking about some advantages of that, some disadvantages of that, and how to overcome those disadvantages coming up. So the first advantage of this argument that a coding bootcamp is a great substitute for a computer science degree is because it's a project-based curriculum or a program. So typically, like if you were to get a computer science degree in a 4-year college or university, the model's flipped. They teach you the theory first, which is data structures and algorithms, and then you don't really get much practical experiences of building projects. Whereas on the contrary, in a coding bootcamp, the model is flipped around where they make you build projects out the gate. So with a coding bootcamp, like the moment you get into it and you start learning, you're learning for the sake of building projects. In my coding bootcamp, the way you graduate is you finish 3 capstone projects, right? And then you have that to showcase in your portfolio. Whereas in a 4-year university, like a computer science degree, you don't really, you could definitely do that, right? You can also create projects of your own. In fact, most CS grads, they typically, the trend now is that they're trying to supplement in their 4-degree program, which is mostly theory-based, by attending a coding bootcamp, which is awesome. But with a coding bootcamp, you can already get that practical experience right out of the gate so that you focus on delivering value, tangible value first. And then once you get in and become a software developer, then you can build up on your theoretical knowledge later on. And the second advantage of a coding bootcamp to supplement or kind of fill in for not having a computer science degree is you have a strong portfolio, and you get there faster than a 4-year degree, because within a 3 to 6 months period, depending on the length of your coding bootcamp, mine is self-paced, but I'm trying to get out in 3 months. Within 3 months, I will have a portfolio that I can showcase to employers and start pitching myself to get my foot into the industry. Whereas in a traditional 4-year university where you're studying computer science, like you can definitely build a portfolio, but you have to realize the industry moves fast, and each year that you stay in school, that's how much you're kind of falling behind in terms of technologies and in terms of skills that you could have learned in a real working environment. And then in most cases, in a lot of cases, like a strong portfolio is stronger than a degree. The power of a coding bootcamp is within a short amount of time, you get to create projects, MVPs, minimal viable products of applications that can actually solve a problem. Versus in a standard 4-year computer science program, you're learning the theories, you're kind of building that foundation, which will be really powerful in the long term, but in the short term, like you're not really producing anything of value, you're just consuming. Whereas in a bootcamp model, you're consuming and you're spitting value right back out. And then this shows up in your portfolio. Third advantage, you are a 3-month or even like a 6-month MVP, not a 4-year MVP. So this is a great contrast to if you have studied some sort of like software development, product development theories, like the waterfall methodology versus the agile methodology. A 4-year degree will be like the waterfall. There's like a set process or set stages that you have to go through to complete the program, to have a finished product, which is yourself saying that I can do these things, I have these skills. Whereas in a bootcamp model is agile, meaning that based on the needs, based on the changes that are happening in an environment or in the market, in each stages of the agile, I guess, cycle, you get to iterate faster, look at what's going well, what's going wrong, and then change faster. So that's super advantageous if you're a bootcamp grad, because you are basically a 3-month, 6-month MVP of a software developer. So that brings you closer to delivering real-time value for your employer, companies, even for yourself right out of the gate with practical skill sets versus just pure theoretical knowledge. And the fourth advantage of a bootcamp versus a traditional CS degree, skills will always beat a degree because a degree is stagnant. You accomplish, like, within 4 years, a set of, I guess, a foundation of like knowledge and like skills for computer science. But if you don't practice it, which involves using your skills, then you become obsolete. So the advantage of a bootcamp is it teaches you how to reinvent yourself from scratch, because it's an accelerated program, right? It's in a short amount of time, 3 months to 6 months. And from there, you're typically starting from scratch, most people, or you're starting from like little to no knowledge of programming, computer science, and then you go through the program, develop the skills, practical skills, to produce tangible results. And that's more valuable than a degree. And the fifth advantage of a coding bootcamp, well, not really an advantage over a CS degree from a university. It would be, you get to leverage the brand name of the coding bootcamp, just like you would like a university, right? So this is more of an advantage against like the person who wants to go the self-taught route. You get to leverage the name brand of your coding bootcamp to kind of vouch for you, saying that this person, this student went through the program, they finished it, therefore I can kind of vouch for this person that they have this skill set that that program promised. So I picked Block because it was, I believe, based on, what was it, SwitchUp and this other website, it was ranked number 3 or 4. Remember, Block and Think4 are the same entity now, so they were ranked 3 or 4, the top 3 or 4 coding bootcamps of 2019, with App Academy and like other coding bootcamp ranking closer to 1 and 2. So I picked this coding bootcamp because it's a happy medium between like, I guess, a flagship, more premium coding bootcamp and against like non-well-known coding bootcamps like one that I was considering, Covalence, right? Because in the end, like having some sort of formal engineering training, even if it's like a coding bootcamp, is still better than nothing, right? So that was one of the arguments that won me over to actually going through with choosing Block. On top of that, versus a traditional 4-year CS computer science degree, the benefit of joining a coding bootcamp is they teach you how to interview more for a software developer role, because it's super, like, a coding bootcamp is focused on practical skills. So that's one of the main advantages against a traditional, like, conventional 4-year computer science degree. And just adding on to this argument, you get to like build those interview skills specifically for software development faster than you would attending a 4-year computer science university and getting that degree. So that's one of the benefits, right? It's accelerated, iterative, like fast-paced learning environment for you to come out as an MVP software developer. Now we can talk about the disadvantages. The first one is there's a stigma against coding bootcamp grads, right? That they don't have enough depth in their knowledge and skill sets as a software developer in computer science. And that definitely is true. Like, there's no denying that, right? Like, programming is hard, software development is hard, And it is possible to get an entry-level junior developer role 3 to 6 months of attending a coding bootcamp, but just because it's possible does not mean it's easy. So that's one of the disadvantages, right? There's a stigma against these coding bootcamp grads. Recruiters try to weed you out when a hiring manager sees that you're from a coding bootcamp, it devalues you. So you have to kind of work against that. And that's one of the disadvantages of having a coding bootcamp on your resume versus a 4-year computer science degree. And the second disadvantage is you only have your skill set, it's only foundational, right? It's not advanced, it's not intermediate. Depending on actually it kind of depends. It depends on what type of jobs you're trying to go for. If you're trying to go for like a more junior role, then your the skill sets that you learn from a coding bootcamp will appear that way. But if you hit that target of a junior developer, an entry-level developer role, then you actually stand a good fighting chance. And yes, you're able to produce like a portfolio, create projects and stuff, but then there's usually just rudimental representations of your potential. So when you're in a coding bootcamp, you graduate and you're trying to get a job, you're not going up to like an employer or a company and be like, I am the best programmer in the world. You're basically trying to sell yourself, pitch them on the potential that you can become. And that's how you're gonna win that employer's faith in you, because they already know like you're coming from a coding bootcamp. You don't have that foundational computer science structure or foundation that a CS grad from a 4-year college has, but they for these entry-level developer roles, these junior developer roles, like hiring managers, companies want to see more out of you, more on those soft skills, right? That you're really passionate about computer science, you have an aptitude to learn fast, and you're a great culture fit for the team, stuff like that. So those things will win you over, but they still have to see that you have the potential to become a great developer. And that comes from having a good portfolio and then interviewing well and presenting yourself well. So how do you overcome these disadvantages? Well, for most of them, the first thing that you have to do is you have to become a salesperson. You have to understand how to sell yourself, because in a coding bootcamp, you're learning, I would say 80% you're learning how to, well, in the coding bootcamp, yeah, I would say you're learning 80 to 90% you're learning how to build your skill sets up to be a junior developer, an entry-level software engineer. And then the remaining 10-20% is learning how to interview for a software developer role. And then in the interviewing process, you're officially acting as a salesperson. So you have to understand how to pitch yourself, pitch your value, understand the company that you're applying for, their challenges, and try to show them that you're the right fit, the right solution for their problems. That also means that when you're applying for jobs, like it's like you're a telemarketer. You're just like, it's a numbers game. You're just, I mean, you don't want to do that. I mean, there's an aspect of it where it is a numbers game, and there's a quality game too. Like for maybe a handful of companies, maybe the top 50 companies that you really want to work for, you'll design your pitch, your message, everything, your resume, so that it's personal and tailored to that company. But in the background, you have to keep filling up your pipeline and apply to other jobs. And then you will have like standard messaging, but then your standard messaging will still be as effective to generate those leads, to have recruiters, hiring managers call you back. And then when you're on the phone with them and stuff, like you have to be a salesperson. Like you have to understand their qualification process and then present yourself as the best solution, the best candidate for that role. And lastly, to overcome this disadvantage, you just have to be committed to learn like fundamental computer science theory over time. Like during your coding bootcamp, after your coding bootcamp, and then even after you get a job onwards, because you're still lacking what you're lacking, right? You're lacking the fundamental computer science skills or knowledge that a four-year CS grad will probably have, but that's okay. You can always learn these things over time. And in a coding bootcamp, like I said, the model is flipped. You're learning practical skills first before theoretical, so that you can get a job, and on your job you can learn these theoretical skills also. Awesome, that's all I have for this video, and this concludes out this video series of the 7 arguments of why I chose to attend the Block Online Coding Bootcamp. Like I said, in the description there'll be a link to this blog post that I wrote that talks about the same thing, and is designed as a self-qualification process for you to decide if you should attend an online coding bootcamp versus an on-site coding bootcamp. So a refresher, if you resonate with 5 of these arguments out of the 7, then it's a strong indicator that you should probably attend an online coding bootcamp. And please give me feedback on what you thought about these 7 points. Do you agree with them? And if you disagree with them, what are better alternatives? I'm still learning and I still need to improve, and I'll love your feedback. Again, this is MrAddOil, helping you fight your today for your better tomorrow, and I'll see you in the next video.